being able to stop the East-West pass game. So disappointing in a lot of ways. What I told the team was the part that was really frustrating was that I didn't think our best players played well. And really all across the board, offensively, without totally naming names, but our best players didn't play well. We had dropped balls from some of our best players. We had things up front from some of our best players. Byram, I thought at times played really, really well, and then at times wasn't patient in the pocket and was trying to force things. And on top of turning it over with the fumble, forcing a ball that didn't need to be forced on third down and field goal range. So part of his growth, there's nobody harder on himself than himself. So part of his growth, and then defensively, we were in position to make plays, get people down, and we didn't make them. And again, some of our best players. So when you look at it, somewhere along the lines, we didn't coach well enough. That's my fault, and I'll own it. Certainly owned it to them as well. And I told the guys, like, the blame will always be distributed amongst the grown-ups that are getting paid to get it right. And so that's our fault, my fault, leading it, not having us as prepared as we need to be. So recalibrated Sunday, looked at why that was, and there's a million excuses we can make. We won't make them. We got to keep moving forward. We're halfway through the year. We've got a really good football team coming in. So looking at Saturday, well coached, have athletes on offense, good offensive scheme, play with tempo, similar to what we just played in terms of trying to get playmakers the ball in space. They have them. They got one of the top receivers in the country. They're good up front. They run the ball extremely well, and then defensively they fly around. They've got really good size up front, really sound on defense, nothing crazy complicated, but they know what they do. They're well coached, and they play really hard. So really good challenge for us, again, at home now, in front of a home crowd, and we got to go get it. So really solid Tuesday. I thought the guys were really, really focused. Sometimes I think you need, just like in life, you need somebody to wake you up a little bit. And I don't know that we ever thought we arrived. I'm super cautious of that, super guarded against that. But you're talking about 18 to 22-year-olds who, if you're still working on what a process looks like what a game week looks like, and super cautious of people telling us how good we are, or, man, we're doing things we hadn't done in a while. Man, you got to reset and just play the next one. That's why you guys see me. I'm never too high on anything, never too low on anything, because there's always a challenge coming up next. And so I think it's really going to be interesting to see how we respond. And again, the challenge yesterday, the challenge out there today is our best players got to play really well. And I'm interested to see if we do. So recalibrated as a staff, man, things that didn't go well, we didn't coach well enough, and we got to be able to just go play fast on both sides of the ball, and I certainly look forward to the challenge. So open it up.
Coach, every game is an experience and a learning experience, good or bad. What do you learn from this, and what do you give to the players?
You're talking about the UAB game?
Yeah.
I think we learned in some ways where our focus is sometimes got to be guided. I think I said this last December, we're in a race against ourselves to get as good as we can as fast as we can. And when you come in and you're attacking everything, my wife always asked me how my day was, and you really want to hear? And the answer is no, she actually doesn't. It's like a token, like, how you doing, But, there's so much you're trying to make sure is right. And for me as the head coach, the focus is kind of constantly shifting. Obviously the scheme part, and obviously our culture and where our players are, recruiting, administratively, what's got to get done. So to me, like, it's so much what is important right this second, and I always feel like everything is important right this second. So guiding our staff into what is critically important, and from a scheme standpoint and from a personnel standpoint, you're trying to find out what you're really good at and continue to do that at a really high level. That's why I made the comment of our best players didn't play well. Like, that can't happen. So why is that? Well, that's where I always talk about process. Like, where in there did our best players not have the ability to play well? Is it injury? Is it our guys like banged up, and man, are they too banged up to actually be, like, they're cleared medically, but are they too banged up to actually do the job we're asking them to do? Is it that we're not putting them in the right positions to be successful? And I'm talking both sides of the ball. Are we focusing enough on certain aspects of the scheme, certain aspects of the route, certain aspect of whatever? So what I learned from a Saturday like that is, man, we went somewhere we were off, right? And where that is, it's a multitude of all of those things, you know, and it comes back to, did we coach well enough? Like, clearly not. And I own that. Like, somewhere along the line, we didn't coach well enough. Whether it was scheme, whether it was personnel, whether it was the right call at the right time, whatever it may be, or purely we were outmatched. Somewhere in there, like, you got to have an answer. And, you know, I think to all of us as a staff, the challenge is, if something's not working, do something different. And are we prepared to have a counterpunch? You know, to me, I always tell the guys, man, like, everybody has a really good plan. Like, and then you get punched in the face, and now is the plan still to keep swinging? You hear me say that all the time. Or do I get punched in the face and now I don't know what my response is? So having a counter to everything you're doing, it's part of growth, it's part of building, but you want to build and grow with wins. So we got to fine tune everything that is going on a Saturday so it doesn't happen. And when I tell you I question everything, but I also question everything after a win. Literally, from our prep to each practice to the scheme to how we flew there, the hotel, the food, to our travel, like, all of it, I question every single step of the way, because as we continue to build and something like that happens, we can pinpoint, man, like, that's why it happened, fix that, keep it moving. And you could say it's all part of year one. You could say it's like, how does it happen that your best players didn't play? Like, all of that falls on me, and I'm going to continue to plug through it. But there's a ton you can learn from it.
Coach Cooper with the Lightning preaches process over outcome, but he's got 82 games. Would you say yours is more process determines outcome?
Well, absolutely, the process determines outcome in the form of a game. At the end of it, if you continue to harp on the process part of it and don't worry about the result, then you actually have something to point to. Like, that's why I keep saying, like, process driven rather than result driven. I don't know Coach Cooper like that, but 82 games compared to 12 games, I don't know that part matters as much as we're evaluated on 12 weeks. There's less body of work, but at the end of the day, our job is to win those football games. So the process has got to be right.
Coach, at the end of the first quarter, it's 21-14. You're still in the game. Then the roof caves in. Did you see anything that was going on that changed anything?
Yeah. I mean, I thought at 21-14 it was sloppy. You know, like, that's where I'm not naive enough to know we hit a 60-yard quarterback draw and now all of a sudden we're good. Like that can't, that's part of our offense, but that was the best way we could generate offense at the time. You know, I could tell we weren't pitching and catching. I could tell that we weren't running it effectively. I could tell defensively that we weren't edged up in the fly sweep stuff like we need to be. So you knew, like they got good coaches, so you knew they were going to go back to what's working for them, and we are trying to fix what isn't working for us while still maintaining and putting together drives. So I don't know that I thought the roof was going to cave in, but I certainly knew we weren't playing well.
Holistically, similar to what I asked you in Birmingham, 3-3, midway point of the season. When you take a step back of where you've been at since December, are you holistically pleased at kind of where this rebuild is sitting? Just where from December to now?
I am pleased with the fact that our guys are very coachable, and holistically pleased with that. Up until Saturday, I thought our effort was better than everybody we played against. I know I've said this before, I try not to reflect on a whole lot other than 1 week at a time and see where we're at. I also don't super reflect on the record part, because I don't think it matters until the very end, when you can go back and really dissect what happened and how you can fix it. I look at, in 6 weeks, what's working, what's not, how do we fix what's not, how do we do what's working better. But again, I think the part I'm disheartened about, and I was up until Sunday at about 4 o'clock, when I had to smack myself in the face and say, let's now is the point where you got to keep it moving. But I was disheartened that our best players didn't play well. I thought that UAB played harder than we did at times. That's the stuff that eats at me. Don't sleep, ready to figure out exactly why that is. And so holistically, up until Saturday, I would have told you I was really happy with our effort, our attitude, the intent to get better. And then Saturday, I thought we took a giant step back in that regard. And so recalibrate, and I'll be able to answer that question again next week. But I really think it's week to week. I think what's really hard for 18 to 22-year-olds to do, and I think it's hard for grown-ups, but I also think it's extra hard for those guys, is it feels like for guys that have been here, and honestly in a lot of ways guys that have transferred here, you're playing meaningful games in the middle of October. You're in the middle of what certainly feels like a wide open conference that you can just chip away at and see where you are at the end. So you're playing meaningful games. I don't know the last time we were playing meaningful games here, and so it all matters. So the coaches are hyper aware of that, the guys are hyper aware of that, but it's this up and down roller coaster of emotions for them. And I know I mentioned this in here probably a week ago, we talk about the inner circle. Everybody's job out there is to tell you what they think, from you guys to their families to whoever, their high school coaches. Everybody's job, honestly, in a lot of ways, from their families and their coaches, and their job is to tell them how good they are and how good they're doing, as I tell my kiddos. Our job is to tell them the truth. And so there's this circle of social media is telling them I'm the top guy in the country in total offense, and I'm the conference player of the week, and I'm this and I'm that. And we're sitting here saying, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And so the battle is constantly, we're telling you the truth. We're telling you where you are, where you got to go, where you got to get better, everything. We're telling you how to be hydrated and how to eat right and sleep right and all of this. Listen to us. But that's the battle, right? And it's getting harder and harder. That part of it, I think our job is getting harder and harder. But where I'm encouraged, I told him on Monday, there was 100 and whatever guys sitting in the room, and we had 84 on the trip. I am so enthused by, energized by the 84 dudes that were on that trip. When I walked in there Saturday morning, I told them, same thing I told them Monday, there ain't 84 dudes I'd rather go to battle with than you guys, because there is this loyalty to each other. They are looking out for each other. There's no split in the team. That's where I'm encouraged. And I probably should have said it, but internally, we were getting our butts whooped on Saturday. And got into the middle of the third quarter, I'm man, we're getting punched and counterpunched, and at times we're answering, at times we're not. We're battling. At times we're playing as hard as we can. At times I think we're feeling sorry for ourselves, but then they come over to the sideline and they're picking each other up. And I don't see a split, and at least right now. And that's what I'm guarding against, is that as we continue, and I've said this before, we're building a program, we're not building a team. And so as we're building a program and laying a foundation, like that's what I'm super critical of, and I'm pleased with where we are there. So it's a fascinating journey. So I haven't like reflected back on much of anything other than a week by week.
So what you're referring to about hearing the noise and then being told the truth, is that just a battle that you've waged forever?
Oh yeah.
Or do you kids reach a maturity level where they can block it out and they don't care? They're about the next week and that's all they're hearing, and it doesn't matter what anybody's saying.
Yeah, I think it's probably a battle forever. Like I've been at programs that are established. I've been at programs that you're building. I think the higher the standard is and the higher the expectations are, the more outside noise and influence there is. But our job is to get this place at a point where there are expectations and there is a standard. When there are expectations, one, that means people care. Two, that means you've done something right. And going into last week, there was expectations and there was a standard that we were going to go win that football game. And so that's a good thing. Like, that's where you want it. But for our guys, the emphasis on all of it is, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Like, you still got to go play it. That's what's so cool about college football. You saw it on Saturday. Like anybody can win at any point. And when you get into conference play, we are at a point where the talent is relatively even. So now it comes down to who's more prepared, who's well coached, who is mentally and physically ready to play on Saturday, because there's not a talent gap anymore.
Alex, you mentioned the players, the loyalty they've shown towards one another. Is that the most pleasing aspect to you so far?
It's probably the most important thing I care about, is that it's really twofold. It's one, that they play as a team, that they never turn on each other, that they have each other's backs, which in turn is complementary football, and two, that they're playing harder than their opponent. And so if both of those things are right, I think you got a shot. Now we got to go coach it the right way, we got to execute the right way, but you got a shot.
Alex, when the conference made USF and FAU permanent or annual opponents, they talked about potential rivalries. Do you see them as FAU as a potential rival? Is that something you care about, talk about?
No, I don't care. I don't know if it should be, shouldn't be. Like, I think it'd probably fall under the category of something that's probably for somebody else to care about. But it's our next opponent. It's an in-state opponent. A lot of these guys know each other. We've got 2 coaches on our staff that just came from there. There's probably some personal storylines in there that we can create in our building, which is fun. And I try to make it all personal, so it'll be good.
Of all the things you're trying to build here long term, how important is it to make your home field a place where nobody wants to come, where you dominate, and where you put a product out there where I don't care who you're playing, people are going to come watch you play?
Yeah, I think putting a good product out there, an entertaining product, is important. I think people being in the stands is really important. You saw it against Alabama, where that place was rocking. It was fun. It was awesome. I thought the next week our students showing up, and I'm super grateful for that. That was fun down in that end zone. I kept looking down there like, man, that'd be fun to go drink a beer and hang out down there. But after the game, it'd be fun. But I think it's the coolest thing about college football. You know, when it gets dark and those green lights come on, that's pretty neat. And I think that's a challenge to our fan base, and certainly our students, is to show up and give us a home field advantage. And not because we deserve anything, but because it is a fun product. We play a fun brand of football defensively. We fly around. We put our hat on people, and offensively we play fast and balls in the air, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So I encourage everybody to come out. I don't know what's going on in Tampa Saturday afternoon, but I don't imagine you could get a better value for 2 teams getting after each other. It'll be fun. Awesome, guys. Thank you. Go Bulls.
Appreciate it.
Defensive tackle
of what happened on Saturday overall, and how do you move past it and get better?
It's pretty evident that that wasn't us. We haven't played like that, but that one time since the last 5-6 weeks, I haven't seen that type of team since spring ball. That's not us. That's what we put on film, but that's not us. We are far from that. We came a long way, and it kind of hurt watching that film because we knew that wasn't us that day. That's not what type of team we are. We're a physical team. We run fast, and we did the total opposite of that Saturday. But one thing I can say, guys, we all came in. Nobody had no excuses. We all owned up to the things that we did in the game, and we moved on. We going forward with it. And today's practice was awesome. When I say Coach barely had to step in, Coach Orlando had to step in, guys out there leading, and so that's the positive. Nobody came in with their heads down. So I think the guys we over that. Compared to how we played and how that practice just looked today, it's two different worlds. So we're in good shape. I feel like.
Because of that, Rashawn, was maybe Saturday somewhat, for the lack of better, a wake-up call. That's saying, hey, maybe you're not where you're at. Let's reset and then have a great practice like you did today.
I'll say it's something like that. Coach Golesh speaks on that every week, that we not that good enough to go out there and take a team lightly. So I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm glad that kind of happened to us because it's good to know that anybody in this country can beat you if you not on your A game, no matter what the record is. And I feel like we got enough talented guys on the team to compete with anybody when we on our best. So it's we just knowing if we go back out there again with that type of attitude, the same result, you're gonna get the same result. But when this team is at their best, man, we locked in. Like I said, I'll take us over anybody.
You just said you're not upset with the loss because now it's a wake-up call, but when you lose a game like that, is it easier to come back from than to lose a game where a guy hits a field goal on the last second and you got to review every play in your mind?
Don't get me wrong, I am upset with the result.
Right.
But yeah, man, a loss is a loss, So I don't care if you lose by 50 or lose by 3 points. A loss is a loss, and the end result, no matter how many stats you have, any of that, we trying to get a W each week on 1-0. So that's really the end result.
What'd you see that was the issue with giving up as many explosive plays that you guys did on Saturday?
Like I said, we just won the defense that we were on the previous 5 weeks before that. We wasn't flying around and hitting people. We are known for being physical. The whole country talks about how hard this defense has been playing, how fast we are, how violent we've been playing. You hear that? I go home and rewatch the game. That's all they talk about, how violent we were, especially in the box. And that we didn't do none of that. And that was the result of the game. They ran for so many yards, and I feel like we've been playing some pretty good run defense the whole year.
Is the hardest thing waiting for next Saturday to get back on the field so you can show people that last week isn't you?
I wouldn't say that. One thing I can say, we don't really worry about what other people think about this team, because at the end of the day, they don't see what we go through, see what we've been through since January. And I feel like, me personally, just being around the team, I feel like guys were just ready to get back to practice. That's all we talked about after the game. When we get back to practice, we gonna fix this. So I feel like the game, we just gonna leave that in front of us, and it's really the process like Coach talk about. I know that's Coach talk, but it's real talk. The guys' process. A lot of guys was last week, we met up. They said their process was messed up last week. Guys, accountability issues and stuff like that. So just this week, just everybody getting their process back going how it was the previous 5 weeks, I feel like we'll be fine.
Sounds like this is truly becoming a band of brothers.
Oh, most definitely, man. I feel like we've been that way for a while now, and that's the thing. That's what I feel like hurt me the most. Just going out there and losing, and just seeing how my brothers feel, man. Because I know when you win, it only brings you even tighter together, man. We here for the last few years, we don't know how to win, And just being able to get a little taste of winning, I feel like that really brings us closer together. We are more connected than ever. I'm talking to guys that I've never talked to before. Even everybody feel that way. So I definitely feel like this is a great brotherhood right now. And this team, even with that loss, man, we still tightly together.
You're 6 games in, you got 6 games to go, you're at the midway point, you're sitting at 500. From December to now, just are you overall holistically pleased with how this rebuild of this program has come since December?
Oh, most definitely. Like I said, we talked about like brotherhood. I feel like that's the biggest piece that we have now that we didn't have in the past. Like we are really like a tight group, like guys. And it started in January, man. And Coach talked about it when he first got here. We gotta love each other. We gotta love our teammates. And since January, when those winter workouts started, man, we had guys in the locker room like literally all day playing ping pong, pool, playing a video game. And that's something you don't really see. Guys who just want to go work out, go to practice, and get up out of here and go home. Like even now, somebody's gonna be in the locker room. And so, like that's really like the biggest improvement. And like you see how like you get on that field, you want to play hard for your brother. So I'm definitely pleased with it. But at the end of the day, man, we haven't did anything. If we happy with winning 3 games, then that's still a loser mindset. We didn't really get nowhere. But most definitely, like I said, this week of practice so far, man, has improved a lot, and I can't wait to get back to the field.
What do you know about FAU so far?
Their record don't like that's not them when you look at that film. Especially offensively, they have a great running back, pretty good offensive line. Like they play well together, and so really, that's a team who gonna fight. You know, like last week, record don't. Yeah, that's a good team. Like even watching the film, watching them play UGA, they played those guys well. So even watching FAU play Illinois well, so those guys are gonna fight to the end. Pretty good athletes, and it's gonna be a dogfight.
Do you view them as a rival, as another in-state school, or just another team?
I mean, I'm pretty sure like guys on the team like know a lot of their players went to high school with them and stuff like that. But at the end of this, another opponent. I feel like we should look at all opponents the same.
Coach was saying earlier that, you know, after all these games he talks to you, you know, coaches give you the truth, but, you know, when you're on the social media or families, you know, they're going to build you up, and a lot of talk with you guys winning the last few weeks about, you know, contending for the conference, bowl game, all, you know, all that kind of stuff. Is it tough for a player not to get caught up in that and to stay in that focus and not start looking ahead?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I actually had to I went on and deleted my Twitter account because it's so you get caught up in it, and you know it's hard. We human beings at the end of the day. I know Coach tell us not to worry about it, but if you see that stuff, man, you'll get caught up in it. Like when we was winning, or we first in the conference, we actually might continue to be conference champs. Then we lose, it's the worst team ever. This team is this and that. So I just went on and deleted it. And
Like happier now, huh?
yeah, you know, family too, man. They talk about how good we are, but one thing I can say, that's why I'm grateful to have the dad I have, man. He keep it real with me. Even if we win, it's some negative. He gonna say about how I gotta get better at this and that. And so that definitely play a like huge role. So I mean, Coach tell guys don't get caught up in that a lot. And you know, guys on social media, so they see it. Yeah.
That one play you had, I can't remember the circumstances, but that was a very impressive TFL. Is that about as good a play as you've made since you've been here? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I made a couple. I think I do know what you're talking about, but I wouldn't say that's the most impressive one. I feel like last year, I don't really want to talk about last year versus BYU. That's one of the most impressive plays I ever had. I did something I never did before.
Early in the season, you were talking about maybe favorite, you know, your leg, and just it seems like you're back. It seems like you're going full speed and you're confident.
That just come with practicing. I feel like last week that was like the best week of practice that I ever had. And you know, just going up with meeting Coach KP, he's on me every day and telling me I got to pick it up, keep picking it up. But I definitely feel like that was a game that got me back in my groove. I felt like I was moving a lot better. So I'm interested to see how this week goes if I go through practice again like last week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Senator Mike Lofton.
How everybody doing today?
What's your mindset after Saturday? How do you move forward from it?
Mindset is we got a lot to work on. They played well. They played hard. They played fast and physical and aggressive. But you got to take the coaching from the film and from Saturday. You got to apply it to next week. You got to keep moving forward, and then you got to look on the FAU, and they're a good football team. So you got to get ready for them.
What'd you guys do wrong?
For me, up front, just getting us on the right calls, getting us in the right checks, being physical in the run game. We didn't run the ball that well, and it starts with us up front. We got to set the line of scrimmage better. And then also in pass protection, giving Byram enough time to where he feels comfortable. He can deliver deep balls, short balls, really just settle in there and be able to play his game.
Is this a game where you now know, let's not even bother looking at the record, those people on the other side in different color uniform, they're going to be pretty good no matter what, right?
For sure, for sure. When you turn on the film, it's not the record that shows. FAU plays well. Their front seven is really good. Their back end solid too. They play hard. They fly around to the football. So yeah, you can't look at the record. You got to turn on the tape to see what they're actually talking about.
Did they do anything different that you didn't expect on defense?
Not really. The coaches did a good job of getting us ready to handle the different checks, the different blitzes and twists. We just got to execute up front all across the board. It starts with me first, getting us on the right hats, getting us on the right bodies, and then also coming off to the sideline, being able to communicate what I'm seeing out there, being able to give Coach Hoodie and Coach Golesh the different reads and stuff like that. So I'd take responsibility for that one.
What do you feel like has to be done to kind of spring that traditional running game? Because after Western Kentucky, you've had maybe K1 or Naquan have a good game, but haven't been able to get that whole stable of backs kind of going. What's you guys have to do up front to get those guys going and not just have to rely on Byram's legs?
I feel like it starts with the first drive, setting the tone off early and then playing like that through all four quarters. Coach talks about leaning on people. I feel like we haven't been leaning on guys as we should, especially in the run game. It starts with us up front. We got to be able to come off and show our dominance early and fast in the game to kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Obviously, game situation kind of dictates what your play calls are going to be. Do you feel like getting down 14 early this week and last week kind of, or the last 2 weeks rather, do you feel that kind of played into not running the ball as much?
I don't think so. I mean, we were down 14 against Navy. We still ran the ball. I just feel like if the run isn't going as well, he's got to be able to trust the line. So that starts with us, being able to move, push piles. Those 2-yard runs should be turned into 4s and 6s and 8s. And then you just got to keep leaning and then keep driving.
How would you assess the O-line with, Dono out, Kilpaw got hurt, RJ's playing all over the place, just what you're seeing from the group with the injuries and with the shifting of players?
I mean, we're banged up for sure, but I love that guys are stepping in. It's the next man up mentality. I mean, you got Colbest playing right guard, left guard, kind of fitting in there. You got RJ playing around, left tackle, right tackle. I mean, he's kind of the Swiss Army knife for the group right now. Kilfoyle went down, but he's fighting back to get healthy, getting ready to play on Saturday. So I just love how it's not, man, like I'm hurt. Like guys aren't complaining. They're gonna put in the work Monday through Saturday so that they'll be able to ready to make plays on Saturday.
You got 6 games under your belt. You got 6 games to go. You're 500 right now. Just since December, are you overall pleased with kind of where this rebuild is?
Me personally, I don't think so. I feel like you watch the tape through the last 6 games. We got a lot left out on the field in every game. I mean, the games that we won, the games that we lost. You can ask anybody. I feel like we're not pleased at all with where we're going. But we also, it's a learning process. I mean, guys got to be able to learn. This is our first time, all of us together playing real snaps, real minutes. So it's going to take some time to get there. But I mean, we got a long ways to go. I mean, I like where we are, as a group, but we just got a lot of work to do for sure.
Coach talked about playing meaningful football games now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys, 6 games in, there wasn't meaningful football left. Now there is. How important is that?
I mean, I feel like every game is meaningful, you know, because it's the next game. You never know when the game's gonna be taken away from you. So you gotta make every play count, every game count, every snap count. So it's important, especially here on out. You know, gotta be able to win the conference and win the next game.
Mike, you say you like where you are as a group. What do you like most about this team?
The hunger that guys have to come out and be better every day. Last Tuesday wasn't our best practice. This Tuesday, guys were flying around. Guys had an intent to come, play fast, fix what was going on Saturday from the tape, and take the coaching and take over, and really work on what needs to be worked on so it doesn't happen again on Saturdays.
So you come home after 2 road games. Could you talk about the home field advantage that you think you have here, and what's needed to make it a home field advantage? Whether it's just the environment, bunch of fans. What makes is this a tough place to play, or what do you guys have to do to make it an even tougher place to play?
I feel like it's huge to have a good home field advantage. You know, one, not traveling as much, because travel does take a toll on your body. You got to rehydrate. You got to be able to eat. You got to get your sleep in. So I feel like one, travel, it's not that big, and then just having the fans come out. I really appreciate the fans and what they've been doing for us so far. But you still got to be able to bring your own juice, bring your own energy. That starts with making plays fast, and then I feel like the fans will kind of feed into that as well.
Do you know a lot of guys on FAU?
I know a couple, but not like as many. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game to play those guys too.
Coach was saying too that when the coaches are talking to you guys after a game, they tell you the truth. Sometimes you get it from the family or from social media. You get a different view, and it's either inflated or it's a disaster, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the. So how do you kind of view that with you knowing what's going on and the noise you hear from your people, and knowing what's real? And
I feel like you have to have a good ground, a good middle in between everything. I mean, like, I'm a human. Like, I'm on social media. Like, I'm gonna look at what people are saying, because you feel good. We were 2-0, number 1 in conference. But then we lost on Saturday. It's like, man, I don't know if USF's back. I mean, you got to be able to. At some point, you got to be able to shut off and not listen to what everybody else is saying, because it really matters is what the people, like the coaches, your teammates, they're holding you accountable, and especially the film. Like, what you see on the film is what is a reflection of yourself.
Are you a 3-3 team? Bill Parcells, we said you are what your record is. You could make an argument, hey, if we did this, if we did that, we'd have a better record. But are you who you are? Is that based on what's happened?
I don't feel like the record reflects what the film says. I mean, guys play hard every single week, and guys will really lay themselves out on the line for their brothers next to them. So I don't think we're a 3-3 team. You turn on the tape says, this tape speaks for itself.
Anything else from Mike? Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Brian.
that.